Hey man, if you're on YouTube back in 2016, 2017, you already know who Solluminati is. Real name Javante Baines from Detroit. This man was just different. NBA 2K videos, reaction content which was some of the best in the game. His classic story times. But whatever he touched just worked. You click on one video and look up to 2 hours later having watched your whole recommended feed of him. He built 2 channels past 1 million subscribers each. Not 1, 2. That's not luck. That's not the algorithm being nice to him. That's a real person with a real gift for making people feel something through a screen. So how does somebody with all of that just fade in and out? How do you go from 200 million views to people asking what always happens to him? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And trust me, the story is probably more layered than you think. The first thing you got to understand about So is he didn't stumble into this. There was no viral moment that accidentally launched his career. He built it brick by brick. He grew up in Detroit, played basketball at Odessa College, and then Eastern Michigan. That was the plan for him. Hoops, school, and the traditional route. But somewhere along the way, he picked up a camera, started making NBA 2K content, and just connected with the people. And here's the thing, if you go back and watch those early videos, the 2K gameplay was good. But that's not why people stayed. Many people just make 2K content. They stayed because of him. The energy, the reactions, the way he talked, and he would say shit like that's tough. I mean, he literally just created his own catchphrases and lingo, They felt natural though, not like a character, just like a normal person. So made a decision that most people would be way too scared to make. He dropped out of college to go all in on YouTube, and his reasoning was actually pretty solid. He said school will always be there, but this window won't. That's a guy who understood exactly what moment he was in. And he wasn't wrong. He expanded into reaction videos, expose content, storytime videos, and like I said before, he crossed 200 million total views. Built a real audience that genuinely rocked with him. Not just viewers, real life fans. There's a difference. At his peak, So wasn't just a YouTuber. He was a presence. If something popped off in the rap world or the YouTube world, he had a take on it. 6ix9ine when he came out of jail, Rich the Kid, DDG. He was plugged into the culture in a real way. But then he did something genuinely bold, something most creators never do. He started this other channel called Spiritual So. Obviously, he was going through some mental issues. And, stuff goes along, stuff goes viral. Y'all heard about the chicken sandwich incident, which, hey man, he ain't wrong. He ain't been wrong. But, he would make these motivational videos, and it just started a new era. And then eventually he shaved his head on camera for his main channel, and it was like a symbolic reset for him. It launched it didn't launch it because it had already been going, but that really set a mark. He dedicated his content entirely to spirituality at the time. Consciousness, all the chakras, the third eye, all that deep spiritual stuff. But the kind of content that most YouTube personalities would never switch to unless it was already their niche. Because also, I think a lot of YouTubers also feel that content is kind of risky. But the crazy thing about this new era is somehow it worked. Spiritual So grew past 1 million subscribers. People connected with it because it didn't feel like content. It felt like a real person genuinely going through a transformation and bringing his audience with him. And if you look at all the comments of those videos, it's like, oh shit, I feel like I'm on FaceTime with bro, and stuff like that you can't fake. His viewers could tell he actually believed what he was talking about, and that's why he kept them hooked. Think about that for a second. He went from NBA 2K highlights to consciousness and chakras. and kept millions of people watching. That tells you everything you need to know about what made him special. It wasn't the topic, it was him. So after So peaked with Spiritual So, I don't want to say things went sideways, because they really didn't, and he has a cult fan base, and I want to be fair here because this part's kind of complicated. So the Spiritual So content started attracting controversy, not because spirituality itself is controversial, but because some of the things being discussed around it crossed the line for a lot of people. The channel got removed from Patreon in 2022 over COVID misinformation. And look, whatever your opinion is on all that, you could believe what you want. Losing his Patreon was probably pretty serious. That's where your most loyal paying fans live. Losing that platform doesn't just hurt your wallet, it puts a target on your back with brands, with the algorithm, with new viewers finding you for the first time. But again, I know So doesn't care about stuff like that, but just think about what he lost out on. The internet has a long memory. Once a certain narrative gets attached to your name, it follows you everywhere. It changes how people talk about you, whether companies want to touch you. It changes everything quietly in the background. And the gaming side had its own issues. Again, NBA 2K content dries up pretty quickly, and I think it peaked back when So peaked. It's been declining ever since. The audience that grew up watching those videos grew up and, they're not really watching 2K content anymore. New faces came in with a lot more energy, and not saying that they're the most successful, but even then, I don't think that 2K content is optimal in this current time. So drawing back again, So lost his brother, and I think that took a big blip on him because obviously rest in peace, God Triller, but the uploads got way less consistent. The moments stopped happening. I mean, he was still there, but you could tell there's a weighing, like a weight on him. But he still acts like himself. And, I don't think the internet will ever move on from him. I always find it weird because I'm like, once these YouTubers peak, some of them you do forget about and then you reminisce, but So's been like a consistent, steady rock. Like, even though he uploads like twice every 4 or 5 months, and it's the hardest thing for a content creator to be consistent. And I know So's probably a perfectionist, but no hate, no drama, this is just, the case of So and what happened to him over time. So I definitely took the last 2 minutes to ramble on, but let me close out this video by saying that you need to sit with what this man actually did. He's from Detroit, no industry connections at all, no YouTube mentor, no blueprint. He saw an opportunity, dropped out of college, and built 2 channels past 1 million subscribers. He pivoted his entire identity on camera in front of millions of people and talked about things most creators are too shy to even mention. What makes So's story stick with me is that he found one lane and then actually found another. Most creators never even do that once. Whether there's a 3rd chapter for him, honestly, that's still being written. I know he was trying to do that streaming shit and then stress him out too much. I don't think he's ever gonna do that shit again unless he's on the desktop. But if you're a creator watching this, the real takeaway is your audience will follow your personality way further than they'll ever follow your content type. And So proved that. When 1 million people followed him for 2K videos, then he did it again with the spiritual awakening content. That's the gift. Not the game, not the topic. It's the person behind the camera. That's what builds something real. Hey man, but I appreciate y'all watching the video. Smash that like, bro. Cause hey, we're trying to run this shit up to 500. If you made the video all the way through, comment chicken for me, gang. Alright, bro. I'll see y'all. Thank you.